Next up, at UFC Vegas 77, we have Terrance McKinney taking on Nazim Sadykhov. Terrance McKinney, 13-5 overall, 3-2 in his last 5. He's coming off that loss to Ismail Bonfim. He's taking on Nazim Sadykhov, 8-1 overall, 5-0 in his last
allegedly
5 with all stoppage wins. What's allegedly?
Well, he didn't beat Evan Elder.
Okay. Terrance McKinney, long, powerful, very talented, right? He's got solid striking. He's got wrestling credentials to dictate where the fight goes. He's a threat on his feet. He's a threat on the ground. A JUCO All-American wrestler. I do wish we would see him wrestle more. He doesn't use it as much as you'd like him to. It's not his go-to. He's going to start striking, and then if he gets in trouble, then try to wrestle. I would love to see if he started with a wrestle-heavy game plan, because he's been chin-checked a few times, and that sucks because he's unbelievably talented, but at the end of the day, like, your chin is your chin. You're just born with it or you're not. There's nothing you can do to improve your chin other than work on the skill sets. And
you can chew gum.
I don't know if that helps. He's taking on Nazim Sadykhov. This guy's a very good kickboxer. He's got speed. He's got power, but he's not reckless. He takes his time on his feet, and he tries to find his openings. He likes to plot forward and counter-strike at the same time. He does a really nice job of that head movement while closing the distance. He is patient, but he can just, for no reason, work in spinning attacks. And that actually led to his only professional loss. He spun some stupid bullshit and got Valentina Shevchenko'd. He is coming off the knockout win over Evan Elder, where he was
a
dropped.
doctor stoppage.
Knockout win, baby.
That's not fucking knockout win. It's not fucking doctor upset.
I remember. It was your stupid lock of the week bullshit. Where he was dropped, but he did recover. I told this story in the Quick Weeks video. I met Terrance. I told you this. I called you after. I met Terrance McKinney's coach at the park a couple months ago. I was literally at the park with my kids. He was at the park with his. He was sitting next to me. I heard him talking on the phone, and I was like, hey.
Eavesdropping, huh? Interesting.
100%. And then we started chatting. First of all, I'm not going to, I don't know what he was saying, just what's public, what isn't. I have no clue. But anyway, Terrance McKinney has moved to Texas. He's now training at a Travis Luter's gym in Fort Worth. And the names that this guy was rattling off of people that are currently training there or going there or will be there, there were some big, big names in that list. I was surprised at some of the names that he said. And it's impressive. That's where Kevin Holland is training now. And Terrance McKinney was able to accomplish everything he accomplished at some small-ass gym. And I some good people came out of that gym, but a small-ass gym, Terrance McKinney was able to accomplish.
Conor McGregor came out of a small gym, stayed loyal to his team.
That was actually it was Australian, but it was solid. So the fact that Terrance was like, okay, that last fight I just lost, I don't know if I should have lost. Meaning, I should have been better than that. Moved to Texas, made a big life choice. He's all in here. And then to see that he now has people that he's training with that are better than him or equal to him in skill set is huge. Because you're not going to get better being the best guy in the room. You will get better being amongst other killers. So I'm hoping this new focus and living in an uncomfortable place with, in a new gym and all these things will just sort of help give him a new look, a fresh restart. Because at the time that Ismail Bonfim lost was yeah, I get it. That guy's a killer. That loss hasn't aged as well as everybody would have liked. But I think Terrance has all the tools. I think he's the better fighter. And I think most people would agree he's the better fighter here. The only issue is what happens if he gets hit really hard in the face. So I'm hoping he's got a different game plan in this fight. We'll see him wrestle a little more. He's a JUCO All-American. I picked Terrance McKinney here. I put a little bit of a money line bet on him. And hopefully that's not just biased because his coach was such a nice dude at the park. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, I don't know how anyone can put money or trust in Terrance McKinney at this point in his career, because he's just shown that he can't. He just will not do what he needs to do until it is too late. I mean, he did. I mean, he won the fight with a takedown and got that submission win or whatever. But when he gets in these fights, he just starts swinging and banging. And yeah, he's got power and stuff, but he keeps getting chin checked. And last one was the worst. I mean, I don't even think he had a mouthpiece in, because I think his mouthpiece got knocked out. Took that knee and face planted. That's a bad bad knockout for a guy that was already chinny. And against a guy like Nazim, even if Terrance comes in and wants to wrestle heavy, I don't even know if he can wrestle a guy like Nazim. And you saw Evan Elder shoot some takedowns, defending him well. He knows what he's doing in the wrestling, in his grappling, has his own offensive wrestling if he wants it. And he's going to be the technical striker. He's going to be the more technical striker and also has power. And against a guy that gets as wild as Terrance McKinney, that's a recipe for disaster. Somebody you can't just kind of willingly take down, and if he boxes you technically, can beat you to the punch, and you've already been chinny in the past. So, I do like Terrance McKinney, and I agree. The talent level of this kid is out of this world. If he can just kind of settle down and find his spot in these fights, mixing in with the wrestling, have the cardio, have the everything, and just put together a game plan and avoid getting hit in the chin, he can be a guy, but he's just shown that he just will not back out of those situations. And even if he wants to, like I said, I don't even know if he can out-wrestle a guy like Nazim. So I'm going Nazim here. I do respect the talent level and everything that Terrance brings his fight, so I think he is live. He'll always be live in fights. But I can't trust him with my money, but I can't trust the other side either because he could come in and look incredible. So I'm staying away from it, but my pick is going to be Nazim.
Yeah, I didn't originally want to bet on it, and then I just looked at it again. I'm like, you know what? He's plus money.
How can you not? He's one of those guys, literally. I almost did the exact same thing. He's so explosive, and he is so good and so talented. It's like, you're getting this guy at plus money?
He's the better fighter. Yeah. It's just the freaking chin is the question. So that's why I'm hoping I factored in the people he's training with. I factored in the life change. It takes a lot to say, let me go somewhere new, and I got to mix something up. And to be that self-aware and to make that big of a life choice, I was like, I'm going to ride with him. I'm going to give it a shot. We're both Texans now. Let's see what happens. So I threw a little bit down on the plus 123. And I'm rooting for him. I hope he wins. He's very, 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 very talented. So I'd prefer he wins. He's your favorite
fighter because he's your friend's fighter, so he's your new favorite.
Not even. I talked to the coach for 40 minutes at the park, and that was the end of it.
You get his number?
We followed each other on Instagram, and that was it. Done.
Oh, the Instagram. That's
it's not an alien.
It's not quite to the number, but it's right there.
There's access if it's needed, for sure.
Yeah. And you can do your little creepy stuff.
Like what?
You like to creep on people. You're creeping on his. If you're creeping on his phone call, I'm sure you've been on his Instagram every night before you go to bed.
No, he was standing right. He was sitting right next to me on the bench at the park.
Who sat down first?
Me.
I bet he was sitting there and you sat down next to him.
No, I don't. I actually don't remember.
If he was already on the phone, he's not walking up to somebody sitting on the bench already.
I don't think he was already on the phone. I don't remember. All I know is he's talking on the phone. And I hear him say a few things it was just after UFC Orlando. And he mentioned a few things when Kevin Holland got into some, that fight in the lobby with, who was it? Somebody. He was telling that story. And he was like, we. I was like, oh shit. And I said, you were at UFC Orlando? And he said, yeah, I'm actually so-and-so's coach. I was like, oh, okay.
Couldn't wait to say it.
He was a nice guy. And I've met a lot of people like that in my day. Some of them.
I met John Gotti III.
Yeah, you're welcome. I made you do that. You didn't want to. I said, get the fuck over there.
Because I'm not one of those guys.
Neither am I. Actually, somebody at the fights asked me, if you see people, can you get me an autograph? I was like, no, I'm not asking.
The worst part about that situation was I wanted the picture more with John Gotti, the son, not the grandson. John Gotti Jr. is like the guy. He was like almost went to prison and stuff. John Gotti the third. Now he's making a name for himself. But I was like, let's get a picture of both of them. And then the junior was like, nah. And the third was like, eh.
Anyway, so we both had the same read on this fight, but we picked opposite sides, is essentially what happened here. So I may spend the $7,500 in DraftKings on Terrance McKinney. He's probably pretty risky for a cash game, but I think I'm going to go for it and do that. You're going to spend the $8,700 on Nazim in DraftKings? Nah. All right, there you go. WeWantPicks.com, become a premium member. You'll get all the things.